everybody. Hey, look to the person beside you and just tell them, nothing says breakfast like gourmet popcorn. Just the breakfast of champions. We've got it for you today. Hey, if you're a guest, once again, we just want to welcome you. We're honored that you're with us today. Thanks so much for coming and checking out our church. There's three things that we hope you experience while you're with us today. The first is we just hope that you experience radical hospitality today. And the second is this: we also hope that you experience church in a different way. Maybe that you would rethink church, and church doesn't have to be a place that you feel like you have to attend, but church can be a place that you want to attend, and it can actually do something for your life. And the third thing is this: we want you today to understand more than anything that there's a God that knows you so well and still loves you so much and has a great plan for your life. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about this thing called the struggle, because somebody help me, the struggle is real, right? We all have struggles in our life. There's challenges that we all go through. And next week, I'm going to be talking about this idea of struggling to find out what life's really all about. Is life really just about getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home, having a meal, paying your bills, going to bed and repeating the process? Because I would say no. I think that there's more to life than that, and we're going to talk about that next week. And then the following week, we're going to talk about this idea of struggling with obstacles in our life and how we can get past the things that are keeping us from where God wants us to be. Because I believe most of us, the challenge isn't that we have multiple problems or multiple obstacles, but we have just a couple that we can't seem to get past, that we keep making the same mistakes over and over again. But today I want to talk about something that I believe everyone can track with. I want to talk about the idea of struggling in relationships. You know, at the end of our lives, I don't think it's going to matter how much money we had, how big the house was, how new the car was. I think what will matter ultimately is the quality of the relationships that we've had. Everybody repeat after me: I'm at my best when I'm in healthy relationships. One more time: I'm at my best when I'm in healthy relationships. Proverbs 27 says this: as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. The idea that we're better when we get around the right people in healthy relationships. And sometimes we think, well, I can do it alone. I can kind of fly solo, but I'm at my best when I'm in healthy relationships. Proverbs 13:20 says, he who walks with the wise grows wise, but the companion of fools suffers harm. And I just want to add to that today, because now not only can we be the companion of fools in our relationships, in our friendships, but we have another opportunity to be a companion of fools on something called Facebook. How many have some Facebook friends that are fools? Anybody? Yeah. Hey, I just want to throw this out there today. There's a thing called an unfollow button, and it doesn't cost anything to use it. You can hit the unfollow button on Facebook, because the words of fools can influence your life. And you might underestimate it and think, well, I'm fine. I can do my own thing, and it's not really going to hurt me. But what starts to happen is you get some toxic transfer of thoughts, and they're saying things, and you're receiving things. And I want to just tell you that the companion of fools suffers harm. And what I'm learning in my life, there might be some people that are good, they're just not good for me. There are people in my life that I've taken on, I've looked at them, I thought, man, maybe I can help them. I've taken them on as projects. And I think I can really help these people in the place that they are. But what I'm starting to understand, and maybe you are too, not only am I not making them better, but they're making me worse. And we have to be really careful of the people that we're around. Listen, your mind, my mind, should not be a dumping ground for other people's garbage. We're designed for more. That's not what we were designed for. So, the struggle is, what do we do with the relationships that we have? Because it's so easy, because relationships are challenging, that we kind of step back. We go, oh, I'm going to just kind of go off in my own. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to kind of fly solo. And men, we do this. Men are the worst, man. Men's like, I don't need nobody. I got this, man. I don't need to get all mushy talking about feelings. I'm good. Ecclesiastes says this: 2 is better than 1. Men, I don't need nobody though. I'm fine. I got my life together. I'm good over here. Man, you're talking about it. Until I stubbed my toe. Oh, honey, would you help me? Because my toe. Oh, men, we know. We think we can fly solo until you get a cold and the sniffles, and then you're in bed. Honey, bring me some chicken soup. Oh, listen, I got you. Feeling me, man? I've been there. 2 are better than 1. I'm at my best. You're at your best when we're in healthy relationships. So what I want to do, I want to contrast this idea. On one hand, we've got a great God that's created us to be in great, healthy relationships. Now, on the other hand, there is an enemy, Satan, who wants to do all he can to destroy the relationships that God wants you to be a part of. And he will do whatever he can do. He will bring strife, conflict, confusion, and division into the relationships, the God-assigned connections into your life. Oh, Satan, he's out there. You might not believe in him, but that doesn't change the fact that he exists, and his sole purpose is to destroy your life. In fact, the Bible calls him a lion who roams around looking for whom he may devour. You know, I love the Animal Planet. It's a great show, high def. It's like you're there on the African plains, isn't it? And when you see that lion, it's always the same story. There's a lion that's in the high grass who's just waiting for that herd of zebras, for that pack of pachyderms, for the gazelles, for whatever it is to come forward. He sees them. It always works the same. He pounces out of the high grass. When the herd, when the gazelles, when the zebras see him, what do? Panic. They all go one way except for one who goes the other way. And the lion goes, that's the one that I'm going to get because they're off on their own. See, what the enemy wants to do, more than anything, he wants to mess up your life by getting you separated from the people that God wants you around. He wants to distract you. He wants to get you off on your own, because once you get off on your own, you are easy prey. And he can take you out at any time. He can come into your life and just take you out. He can remove you from the people that God called you to do life with. And as soon as that happens, you think, oh, I'm independent, man. I don't need nobody. I'm good over here. I don't need people. I don't need those friends. I don't need church. I can come fly solo. I can believe in God and not be in church. I don't need all that. Listen to what I'm telling you. As soon as you do that, you're falling prey to the deception and lies of the enemy, who wants to take you in a direction away from the group, because he knows if he can get you by himself, he can destroy you. So keep that in mind as we go forward today. What I want to do today, I want to have a little fun though. I want to talk about healthy relationships, and I want to compare relationships to one of the all-time great games of all time, ping pong. Now, I know ping pong's not sexy. It's not like, oh, it's football and basketball. However, I was the ping pong champion, 8th grade, Sherrard Junior High. So, thank you. So we're going to play. I'm going to ask my wife, Linda, to come up. And what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of ping pong, because I believe ping pong can be a lot like relationships. Ping pong is about a volley, a serve, and a return. It's about initiating and reciprocating. And isn't really that's what relationships are all about. It's about initiating conversation, how we reciprocate back and forth, a lot like ping pong. Linda?
Right.
Are we ready?
I'm nervous against the champion of the 8th grade. This is going to be tough, but I'm ready.
All right, so it goes like this. Goes like this. What we're doing is we're just volleying. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing great, Bob.
How's your day going?
It's going really well.
How was your trip?
It was great. Florida is always awesome.
It's always awesome. We missed you.
Oh, I missed you too.
And it's not fun sleeping alone, because those pillows they're not the same as you. I just want to say that.
All right,
They're not the
everybody
same.
heard it right here at TE.
So I love you, and it's good to have you back. And
Thanks.
you look good today. I like the vest.
Thanks.
And anything you want to say to me?
You look hot too, baby.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. So this goes on and on and on. You see how that works. Healthy exchange, right? Healthy exchange. What I want to talk about today is the idea, thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Is the idea of this thing, this back and forth thing that occurs in relationships called the exchange. So I want to give you 3 things to look at today, to consider when you're in the midst of an exchange. And the first is this: unlike ping pong, relationships cannot be about one person winning. Relationships cannot be about one person winning. Let me just start with this. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. It's not about winning. Sometimes we take the ping pong mentality into relationships and we think winning is about getting the final word. Oh, I'll show you. Take that. I'll trump you. I'll have the final say. I'll talk louder. I'll say more. I'll do whatever I have to do because I'm going to get the final word, because those who have the final word always win. It's about getting the final word, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not about winning through having the final word. Listen, you can win the argument, you can win the battle, but you can lose the war. Relationships are not about winning. Linda and I, what we were doing up here, we were having a healthy exchange. We were both serving the ball in a way that the other could return it in an easy way. I wasn't up here putting on the Seidler spin. Oh, it's good, by the way. I wasn't doing that. I was giving her a healthy serve. She was giving me a healthy return and exchange so that we could continue the conversation. Now, let me say this. In a real game of ping pong, it would have been dramatically different. Linda's the blue-eyed assassin. She'd have tried to take me out quickly. Competitive. Oh, competitive. Make no mistake about it. It would have been like bam, 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 bam. It would have been ugly up here. So we didn't want to do that because competition's not healthy in a relationship, is it? We're not trying to see who's the best. We're trying to make each other better. That's what the idea of a healthy relationship is. We're serving to one another in a way that it can be returned. Everything that you do and say in any relational capacity, you have to consider the fact that you're serving something to the people around you. We're serving something. Let me ask you a question. What are you serving? Are you serving encouragement or discouragement? Husbands, good question for you, good question for me. Are you serving honor? Are you serving disrespect? We're all serving something through the conversations that we have with the people that have been placed in our life. Are you serving joy or heaviness? Are you serving positivity or negativity? Oh, there's some people that serve nothing but problems. There's some problem servers out there. Are you serving, here's a great question. Are you serving problems? When somebody comes to you with something, you just tell them why it can't happen? This is wrong and this is wrong? Or are you serving solutions? Great question. Have you ever tried to play relational ping pong with Debbie Downer? Have you tried to play with Danny Downer? Let me tell you, here's how the game goes with me. If I'm playing with a Debbie or a Danny Downer, it's a short game. I can't do it. It's not healthy for me to continue to volley in that capacity because it gets me nowhere. It's not making me better, it's not making them better, and it just stalls. Very difficult. So what I do in a ping pong match with Debbie Downer, with Danny Downer, we're playing. Pretty soon I say, this is going nowhere. What do? Have a great day. Can't do it. How do we handle relationships? Well, I love the fact that the Bible not only challenges us to be better, but it gives us solutions in how to be better. And there's a solution to have better relationships. How many want better relationships today? Come on, let's just say, I want a better relationship. If you're sitting beside somebody that didn't raise their hand out, I'm just praying for you right now. Philippians, 2nd chapter. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Now here's the option. Rather, instead, here's the answer. In humility, value others above yourselves. Not looking at your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. You want to do well in relationships? Put other people first. Jesus said it. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. Oh, you love yourself. Trust me. We all love ourselves. Put other people first. Raise them up. Here's the second point that I want to make. One of the worst habits that you can ever get into in the exchange is keeping score. Keeping score. I did something for you. Now you got to do something for me. Oh, it's about paybacks, isn't it? I took care of you. Now you got to take care of me. I helped you. Now you help me. I scratched your back. You scratch my back. It happens all the time. Listen, there's people that are keeping score in areas of your life you shouldn't even have a scorecard. And let me just add this. For the people that insist on going back and bringing up things from someone's past and using it in the present circumstance, let me say this. If you're constantly bringing up someone's past, there's no real hope for your future. It's just never really going to go anywhere. You've got to decide, I'm going to let that be then, and I'm going to live in my now moment. God's given me now not to live then. He's given me now to experience my now moment. So, if you want healthy relationships, you have to help each other be better. When I was serving to Linda, I was serving in a way that she could return it. I wasn't serving in a way that she was going, what do I do? She was being served in a way that she could return it. Now, however, and this happens all the time, maybe it's happened to you. There's people, they've served to you in a way you don't even know what to do with it. They've said something to you and you're like, I don't even know how to respond to that. I don't know where to go with what I've just heard. Maybe they served in a way that's critical. Maybe they served in a way that's condescending. Maybe they served in a way that they just want to take you out. They want to slam you in the conversation. Where do you go with that? Very difficult to volley, isn't it, to keep the exchange going when that's what the conversation looks like. And let me add this to our conversation today. Be very careful that you don't offer up sarcasm to people. Oh yes, it's not sarcasm, it's scarcasm. And I used to be the all-time champion. God's changed my heart. But I know the damage sarcasm can do. It will leave scars. Because there's a little bit of truth in sarcasm that will etch, and we're going to talk about this, that will get etched in your heart. Let's just be people that mean what we say and say what we mean. That it's not confusing. We're serving things up in a way that people go, I get that. I understand that. I can return that. So, where I want to land today, where I want to spend a little bit of time on, is this idea of the exchange. And I believe this, every exchange is processed through the filter of our hearts. And I just want to get real. I just want to just talk to you for just 1 minute. I believe most people in this room, in fact, I would go as far to say everyone in this room, whether during your childhood, maybe young adulthood, maybe recently, you've seen something, heard something, or experienced something that's done damage to your heart. Maybe when you were young, you grew up in a household and the relationship that you saw between your parents was anything but healthy. Maybe you saw your dad talking to your mom in a way that was dangerous, that there was some verbal abuse happening. Maybe your dad, your mom, you grew up in a house and there was alcoholism. Maybe there was physical abuse in the house that you grew up in, and you saw these things and you were young and you didn't know how to process it. So what you did is you took it into your heart and it's been etched on your heart. These things land on our hearts. Maybe you're here today and when you were a kid, somebody just spoke something to you and they said, you're never going to amount to anything. You're going to always be fat. You're going to be stupid. You're an underachiever. You're overqualified. I just don't really see any real hope for you. And these things were said to you. and you didn't know how to defend yourself, and they've come into your life, and now they've landed on your heart, and they've just been sitting there. And there's other people today, and listen, I want to tell you, my heart breaks for you. There's people in this room that when you were young, maybe even recently, that someone crossed a line and touched you in an inappropriate way. And you didn't know what to do. You didn't know how to handle it. And you just dealt with it. And it's landed on your heart. And it's etched in your heart. And now, because of what's happened to us and we didn't know what to do, it's very easy to let these past experiences get etched, get written deeply in our heart, and it causes us to see through a lens of heartache. In other words, the world that we see around us, everything that we've experienced, our previous experiences affect our current circumstances. And now you can't help it, but you just react to the world based off of the lens that you see through because of what's happened to you. And this breaks my heart, but this is real and it's happened to all of us. And these experiences affect our now. And what happens is this. That's why somebody can say something to you and what you hear is different than what they said. They really didn't mean that, but you've run it through the filter of your heart, and based off of what you've experienced previously, this is what you're hearing, and this is how you respond to it. And listen, that's why people are here, and you have your walls up, and you're like, no one's getting in. I'm tough. I can do this on my own. I can manage this because of what's happened to you in your life. You're like, I remember what that feels like, and I'm not going to let that happen to me again. So watch. This forms something in us that I call internal dialogue, and we all do it. Internal dialogue. Let me give you an example of my internal dialogue. I can be standing up here preaching to you, and the conversation that I'm having with myself is, who do you think you are telling them how to live their life when you can't even live your own life correctly yet? That's my dialogue. Based off of past experiences, maybe insecurities that I may have. And we play these things through our head. They don't even like you. They think those white shoes that you're wearing are stupid. Now, hear what I'm saying. It's not your fault. I'm running it through my faulty internal dialogue. Are you with me? Let me show you. We process everything through our hearts. Now, I'm not an artist, but I'm going to do the best that I can. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a man and he's happy, and he's got a faux hawk. All right. And that's his heart. Now I'm going to draw a woman, and she's tall. And she's got a dress on. And she's really happy. That's not bad, is it? That's pretty good. Here's how it works. We have a conversation, and she says something to him, and it goes into his heart. And how he responds is based off of his previous experiences that have been etched in his heart. So what happens, unlike a water filter that takes out the impurities, when this comes back out, everything that's been etched on the heart is responded to based off of what's in there. Do you get that? So now the conversation, now it goes into her heart. And then it's back and forth based off of what we've experienced in our life and through this internal etching that's been written deeply into our hearts. It happens to all of us. So let me give you an example. So maybe there's a dad and there's a son, and the son is 7 years old. And the dad's talking to his son, and he says, "You're a failure. You're lazy. You're never going to amount to anything. I don't see any hope for you. And what this militant dad really thinks he's doing is helping his son prepare to be a better man. But what he's doing, listen, it's etching things in this kid's heart. And it's not on a whiteboard where you can erase it. It's etched into the heart. And it's there. And the kid doesn't know how to defend himself. The kid doesn't know, so we take this stuff in and it lands in our heart. So what happens, now the 7-year-old is 22 years old and he's at work and his boss tells him on Friday, hey, I need that report on my desk first thing Monday morning. Don't be late. But what the kid hears is something else. And a siren goes off and a bell goes off. He's going, wait a minute. What he really means, he doesn't trust me. He doesn't think I'm competent. He doesn't think I can handle this. He thinks I'm lazy. So he responds to his boss by saying, what do you really mean? You think I can't do this job? You think I'm overqualified for this job? You think it's not something that I can pull off? Is that what you're trying to say? Listen, what I'm going to tell you. Anytime that you add something to the end of a sentence that someone else says, you're operating out of your own internal dialogue. You're operating out of the internal etching that's in your heart. If you add to something, that's why when people hear something, they hear it two different ways. There's people in this room, I'll preach a message and I'll have somebody come up and they'll say, Pastor, you were preaching to me today. That was designed just for me. Now there's another person that heard the same thing, I think the same way, and what do they say? They go, wow, the worship was great today. They heard it in a completely different way based off of what they've been through and what they've experienced. Be careful that you don't add something to the end of a sentence. Don't, when somebody says something, don't go, oh, I know what you really mean. What you're really trying to say. No, listen, don't do that. It could just be that they mean what they say and you're adding to it because something has happened and has landed on the inside of your heart. Listen, the devil is a liar. The devil wants you to not take things at face value, but to look into situations and add things to them that the person didn't really even mean because he wants to destroy the potential of your relationships. He's the father of all lies. He is a deceiver. That's what he does. People sometimes just mean what they say. So watch. A woman that has suffered abuse has this internal scripting on her heart. And she's thinking, I've been hurt once, I'm going to get hurt again. It's even been before. So really, I'm not going to trust anyone. And maybe this isn't even abuse. Maybe you've been hurt in a relationship. Maybe there was a person that walked out of your life that you thought would be there. And now you're like, no, I'm not, I've been down that road. So the relationships that you are in become challenging because you want to be in control of the relationship so that it doesn't happen to you again. So we start manipulating the relationship because we're like, I'm not going to experience that. I know what that felt like, and I just don't want to feel that anymore. And it becomes frustrating and hard and difficult. Listen, there's all kinds of internal scripting that happens. There's people in this room, you've got fear written on your heart. Maybe somebody in your family passed away way too early. And you're like, if it happened to them, what if it happens to me? So you operate out of fear. There's people here, you operate out of internal scripting of rejection. That people have walked away from you. They've told you that really they just don't want to be around you anymore. Rejection, jealousy, insecurity. There's so many things. Anger is a huge thing. There are people in this room that something has happened to you along the line and you didn't know how to respond, and anger has been etched into your heart. Listen, that's why when you're driving down the road and somebody forgets to put on their turn signal and they start to pull over, that's why you freak out and get all up in their grill and like, what are you doing? Pull it over. And you have this road rage. Listen, it's not because they didn't put on their turn signal. It's because there's something that's in your heart that's never been dealt with. It's because there's something inside of you. And listen, it's not your fault. It's not, somebody hear me, it's not your fault. because we'd never heard this scripture in Proverbs 4:23. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart. Be careful what you let in. And I'm just going to say this real quick. And maybe this is for somebody in this room right now. I don't want to get too far off course here. But if you're in a relationship right now or considering a relationship, and the person that you're in that relationship with is controlling and always overly angry, one word: run. Run. You might think you're the one that can fix them. Hey, by a miracle of God, maybe it can happen. But I'm telling you, generally. Now, let me tell married people, different circumstance. Maybe you're in a marriage and there's somebody that's controlling. It's always anger and all of this stuff coming forward. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to run, and I want you to run to a counselor. Don't wait one more day. Get some counseling. How many of us know that counseling is biblical? Seek the advice of wise counsel. Let's not get our pride up that we think we can't go somewhere for help. Here's the question. Do you want to be in the relationship that you've always been and have it the way that it's always been? Or do you want healthy relationships? I want healthy relationships. Luke 6:45, a good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, but an evil man brings evil out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Let me ask you a question. How are you communicating in your relationships? Because what's in your heart will come out of your mouth. Now listen. Here's the best news of this message. The God that we serve understands the situation that we're in. And God has always made a way when there was no other way. And it says in Ezekiel 36:26, he promises this, and I will give you a new heart. And I will put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn heart and give you a tender, responsive heart. God knew that there would be struggles in relationships, and God made a way for us to get over the situation and get on track back in healthy relationships. Listen, you may have been knocked down, but you haven't been knocked out. You're still here. Come on, God still has a plan for your relationships. God's got a purpose for your life. Come on, let's have healthy relationships. Let's say, I'm not going to stay where I am. I'm going to move forward in my relationship by the help of God. Somebody get this today. God can change your heart. It doesn't have to be the way that it's always been. He can replace your heart with a brand new heart. That's who he is. Come on, that's what he does. Let's give Jesus a shout today in the house. That's who he is. Let's pray together and ask. You guys can have a seat. Bow your heads and close your eyes. Father, thank you today for your word that changes us.